Shabbat Shalom, and on behalf of Bet David Santon, Bet Menorah Pretoria, and Bet David Durban, we welcome you to our service this evening. Your congregation needs your support, especially in these difficult times. The Management Committee wishes to thank congregants for continuing to pay membership fees on time. We also wish to thank those members who sponsor the weekly services, as every donation is valued. To sponsor a virtual service to celebrate a simcha, or in memory of a loved one, is one way to do this. If you wish to sponsor in the name of your business, the name of your business will scroll at the bottom of the opening screen, and it will remain visible on the YouTube recordings of the service, affording ongoing online advertising. The service tonight is sponsored by Louis Kling to celebrate his recent birthday. The Shabbat candles tonight will be lit by Lynn Raffaeli in loving memory of the late mother Estelle Abro. Shabbat Shalom to you all.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed is the Lord our God, ruler of the universe, by whose mitzvot we are hallowed, who commands us to kindle the lights of Shabbat. May we be blessed with Shabbat joy. May we be blessed with Shabbat peace. May we be blessed with Shabbat light.
Thank you, Lynn. And we now welcome our Rabbi Elisheva, to join us and give us some opening thoughts.
Thank you, David. Thank you, Lynn, for bringing us your beautiful light. And I want to remind us that at this time of year, now that we are in the month of Elul, the acronym for this month brings us to thoughts of love. Because if you take apart the word Elul, you have an Aleph and a Lamed and a Vav and a Lamed. And the rabbis say that those are actually standing for the line from Song of Songs. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. I am my beloved's and my beloved is mine. And we say these words frequently at weddings, but it is also important to remember that Rosh Hashanah is the day of creation of this relationship between ourselves and the divine. And so we are really in the lead up to the supernal wedding. The garden is being set, the chuppah is being placed. And on Rosh Hashanah, we come in front of the witnesses and are given our task to do And on Yom Kippur, actually, we're taught that that's the day we're accepted in love. So during this time, it's traditional and very important to check in with all of the people you love and to make sure that your relationships with them are in good shape so that you can come into the holiday season and enjoy the full blessings of your own repentance, your own return to the source, as well as the community with an open heart and with love for all. Reb David, please take us into the service.
Thank you, Rabbi, for those thoughts. We turn now to page 130 for Lechun Ranana Ladonai. Before we do that, I'd like to draw your attention to something else, and that is a voice of pride. We can be proud of our religion. This week's parsha describes how Moses explained to the Jewish people how to treat others. The words tzedek, tzedek tirdof are used. Justice, justice shall ye follow. We were told, no, commanded, that the rights of others were paramount. Special consideration was given to widows and orphans who were the most vulnerable. Think of this in the context of the barbaric practices of the time, when humans were classed and treated as mere possessions and could be treated by their owners as if they were merely furniture. The conquered were to be pitied, and there's a Latin expression, vae victis, which means woe to the conquered. That was the norm. Yet Jewish law provided for the treatment of such persons in a humane fashion. There were even rules for the freeing of slaves. Let us try and place these criteria in the ambit of how we run our lives, how we run our homes, and how we run our businesses. Shabbat Shalom. Now we turn to the Psalms for inspiration. Psalm 130, Psalm 95 on page 130. Lechuna ranana ladonai, naria letzul yishenu, lekadama panav betoda, bizmirot naria lo. Yel gadol Adonai, umelech gadol al kol Elohim, asher biado mechkerei aretz, v'toafot harim lo. Asher lo hayam v'hu asahu, v'yabeshet yadav yahatzaru, bo'u nishtachave v'nichra'a, nivrecha lifnei Adonai oseinu, ki hu Eloheinu, v'anachnu am marito v'tzohon yado, hayom im b'kolo tihishma'u. I'm going to read the first paragraph of the translation, and I want you to focus, please, on a particular word used, deliverer. When we use the word deliver, we presuppose that something has happened in advance of the action of delivering. Something has happened as a result of which we have been delivered, or something has been delivered. Something had to take place first. Now, if we stop and think of the context of what we are living in, God has delivered much to us, much that we have not thanked Him for. Look around us at the COVID story. Every one of us has got family and friends who've been inflicted with the pandemic. We ourselves may have had it. Yet, look and think of those who have been delivered from COVID, who have now recovered from COVID, whether other people or whether yourselves. Have we stopped to thank God? Have we implored God to continue helping people who have been treated with COVID? Maybe we haven't done what we should do to thank God for His attention to us and our loved ones and the people close to us regarding this awful pandemic. So I ask you please to bear in mind that we've all been the beneficiaries of God's deliverance. And Let's pray to him to continue to act in this wonderful manner. Come, let us sing joyously to God. Raise a shout for our rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For the Eternal One is the great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. And from there, we turn to page 132. Sing to God a new song. Sing to God all the earth. Sing to God, bless God's name. Proclaim God's victory day after day. Tell of God's glory among the nations, God's wondrous deeds among all peoples. For the Eternal One is great and much acclaimed. God is held in awe by all divine beings. All the gods of the peoples are mere idols. But the Eternal One made the heavens. Glory and majesty are before God. Strength and splendor are in God's temple. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of the Eternal One. For God is coming. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and his people in faithfulness. From here we turn to page 136. Mizmor LeDavid. Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz. Havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, hishtachavu l'Adonai bahadrot kodesh. The Psalm of David. Ascribe to the Eternal One, O divine beings. Ascribe to God glory and strength. Ascribe to the Eternal One the glory of God's name. Bow down to God majestic in holiness. The voice of God is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Eternal One over the mighty waters. The voice of God is power. The voice of God is majesty. The voice of God breaks cedars. The Eternal One shatters the cedars of Lebanon. God makes Lebanon skip like a calf, Syrian like a wild young one. From there we go to L'Chad Odi, page 141.
L'Chad Odi, Tikrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. L'Chad Odi, Tikrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Shalom v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el miuchat, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, Shemo tiferet v'litila la 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 L'Chad Odi, Tikrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. L'Chad Odi, Tikrat Kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Tikrat Shabbat, לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, מעשה במחשבת הילה, לה 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 L'Chad Odi, tikrat kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. L'Chad Odi, tikrat kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. מקדש מלך עיר מלוכה, ומצאים מתוך ההפכה, רב לך שבט בעמק הבכה, והוא יקבול לרעי, לה 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 L'Chad Odi, tikrat kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. L'Chad Odi, tikrat kala, Penei Shabbat Kabbalat. Ohi v'shalom, ateret ba'alam, kam v'simcha v'tzola, tuch evanei, am segula. לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה, לה 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 לה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני פני שבת נקבלה, לה לה.
Page 141. Adonai malach geut lavesh. Lavesh Adonai oz hitazar. Aftikon tevel. Baltimot. Nachon kisacha. Me'az. Me'olam ata. Nasu naharot Adonai. Nasu naharot kolam. Yis'u naharot doch yam.
Mikolot mayim rabim, adirim nishperei Mikolot mayim rabim, adirim mishperei Dai adim amarom Adonai, adim amarom Adonai, adim amarom Adonai. Adim amarom Adonai, adim amarom Adonai, adim amarom Adonai.
Page 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah B'choma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayeichon v'yohomeichon v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael Bagala v'zman kariv V'emeru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevoach, Le'olam u'l'olmei olmaya. Yitbarach, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'al v'yitromam v'yitnasei, v'yithadar. Vitalev Yitalal Shmei de Kudesha Brichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbecha Tavanechemata Ta'amihiran be'olma Ve'imeru Amen. And we welcome Rabbi Elisheva back to us.
Baruch hu et Adonai, Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai, Hamevorach, le'olam ha'ed.
We turn to the blessing for the evening. We imagine that first day of creation and the rolling away of the darkness before the light, and then at the end, the bringing back of the darkness to regroup and get ready for the next day of creation. Blessed are you, eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, whose wisdom opens heaven's gates, whose understanding changes times and seasons, and who arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה לניght צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב הרבי.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. כן, אדוני אלוהינו, בשופנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, מצוות ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת.
We turn now to the Shema. It's traditional to make the shin with your fingers, the dalet with your index finger, and the yud to write the word Shaddai, and to place it over our eyes as we say the Shema. And here's our lead-in to that prayer. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. Whoops, sorry. We continue now with a reading on page 100, and sorry, I'm having trouble with the page numbers, 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. I get the image when I read that of like a flower opening up so that there can be this justice and love that is shown to the divine that we get to share. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered. At Sinai, we bound ourselves to your way, inspired by prophets and instructed by sages. Time and again, we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be at one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. We have Mi Chamocha on page 158. Mi Chamocha Bailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh, Nora Tehilot Osefele, Nora Tehilot Osefele. And on page 160, we turn to this moment of acknowledgement of the danger that is in the world, and particularly the danger that comes to us when we lie down, when we place ourselves both in the palm of the divine and also in a place of rejuvenation. And we say, grant us, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up again, our sovereign to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel for your name's sake and be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, looting, and all other evils. Distance us from wrongdoing. Take sorrow from our hearts and bury it in the sea. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם בריתונה
We continue with the Amidah, which opens up our hearts to this precious moment of connection with the divine.
Adonai, sefatati tahu fi aditei latecha. Adonai, sefatati tahu fi aditei latecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Sarah Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Rivka Elohei Yaakov Elohei Rachel Ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Ve'Hanora El Elyon Gomer Chasadim Tovim Ve'Koneh Hakol Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava. We give praise to the one who brought our ancestors joy and comfort, adventure and pleasure, who shared with them the light and the power and the might and the hope. We recognize with them the level of holiness that is entailed in being part of creation. We open our hearts as we move towards the new year to think about that light, that supernal light that shone at the beginning and was with us all the way through until the first Shabbat. And we imagine being Adam and Eve and searching. We have these words in our prayer book: where might I go to find you, exalted hidden one? Yet where would I not go to find you, ever-present, eternal one? Our hearts cry to the divine as we also share in the divine light. And we discover that the moment that God reaches for us, we also are able to reach to God. We remember the blessings, the great blessings of the Sabbath. Retzei b'mitzvotenu, kodshenu b'mitzvotecha, make us holy with your mitzvot. V'ten chelkenu b'toratecha, and give us a portion in your Torah. Samchenu b'tuvecha, savenu b'tuvecha, satisfy us with your goodness. V'samchenu b'shuatecha, and make us happy, knowing that we are part of the world that is working towards salvation. V'taher libenu, reach inside us and purify our hearts as you purified the lips of Isaiah, your prophet, so that we may work towards the goals of creation, of holiness in truth. And please give us with love and with intent this beautiful Shabbat, this one we're experiencing now, the one coming, many, many Shabbats, so that we may take in the blessing of that holy light and look upon, as you did, the glories of creation and unify these two things so that we may all rejoice together. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Find favor, O God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer, whether it is one from the prayer book or one with just the words of the heart, with love. May the worship of your people always, always be acceptable to you. O God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to us. Pour out your Spirit upon us. Pour out your Spirit upon us. Raise us this Shabbat. Bring us to see our own holiness. Bring us to establish your holiness in the world. Bring us to an awareness of this light. Allow us to take the light and form with it our part of this world, so that once again we can welcome your presence in our midst. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachazir shchinato leTzion. We stand in gratitude. We acknowledge and thank God. We take a moment in time to remember the blessings of our family, of health, God willing, that we have, of community, of the strength of being together, of technology, which enables us, even on Shabbat, to connect through Zoom, through YouTube. We bless you for the mercies that you share with us, the mercies that never end, as we will say when we reach Yom Kippur, the compassionate nature of you, our Divine One, who gives us always the continuity of hope. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha, ulecha na'eh lehodot. Oh, and lastly, even on Shabbat, we ask that God reach into the abundance of peace, that there be a tremendous, overwhelming experience of peace for all. And it can be no more beautifully expressed than by our choir singing Shalom Rav on page 178. So for our silent meditation, I'm going to invite you to choose a day of creation. Maybe it's the day that light was made, or the day that the separation happened between the heavens and the waters, or the day that the earth rose from the waters and the trees began to grow, or the day that the fish and the birds were created, or the day that the sun and the moon and the stars gathered together all that light. Or perhaps it was the day when the animals came into being and we got to walk the earth for the first time. Think about one of those days and the blessings that those creations hold for you as we do our silent meditation to conclude the beauty of our prayer.
Elohai Netzor Leshani Mira Usfatai Midaber Mima Ve'im Kalelai Nafshi Tidom Ve'nashi Ke'afar Lakol Ti Elohai 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 Netzor Leshani Mira Usfatai Midaber Mima Ve'im Kalelai Nafshi Tidom Ve'nashi Ke'afar Lakol Ti Elohai 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 Netzor Leshani Mira Usfatai Midaber Mima Ve'im Kalelai Nafshi Tidom Ve'nashi Ke'afar Lakol Ti Elohai Elohai Ptach libi Ptach libi Ptach libi Betoratecha Netzor Leshani Mira Usfatai Midaber Mima Ve'im Kalelai Nafshi Tidom Ve'nashi Ke'afar Lakol Ti Elohai 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 Netzor Leshani Mira Usfatai Midaber Mima Ve'im Kalelai Nafshi Tidom Ve'nashi Ke'afar Lakol Ti Elohai Elohai
Iule ratzoni breti, ve'hegyon libi lefanecha, Adonai, Adonai Tzuri, Adonai Tzuri, ve'kohani.
I want to emphasize that Moses in his discourses did not only lay down a central moral principle, as I spoke about earlier, but he laid out a system of government and national imperatives which resound through democracies over the centuries. They were adapted, adopted, and today form the backbone of dozens of democracies. Not that I can guarantee that the precepts are necessarily all applied in all the countries which claim to espouse them. Let us look at the major items. I've already dealt with the concept of tzedek tirdof. I add one feature to that justice must be tempered with mercy. Not only justice shall you follow, but you must add on the rider of mercy with it. Justice must be mitigated by pity and humanity. Our own General Jan Smuts, who helped found the League of Nations, out of which grew the United Nations, remarked that the League of Nations was the vision of a great Jew almost 300 years ago, Isaiah. It's a pity that the rest of the world does not acknowledge that as well, the role played by our ancestors. Judges and the judicial system are warned to be scrupulously even-handed, not to favour the poor out of pity, nor the rich in anticipation of a bribe. A Supreme Court of 70 was established, called the Sanhedrin, to hear cases too difficult for local courts and to act as a court of appeal. The role of a king, not yet appointed, was laid out. He had to govern in accordance with the Torah, which he had to study. Imagine that, laid down in the Torah, that the king has got to study the Torah and be guided by it. He was not to have standing cavalry or a harem. When some kings descended to cruelty and corruption, then disorder followed. A strong repeat is made of the warning against idolatry, for idolatry was based on lack of loyalty to God, and idolatry was regarded as high treason. Its penalty was to be stoned to death. The priests had strict rules of conduct and were forbidden to be soothsayers or diviners, but had to follow the spiritual guidance of the prophets, not guess at the future. Other matters dealt with were as follows. Cities of refuge were to be built for those unfortunates who killed by accident. It was a crime to remove a landmark indicating the extent of someone's property. Witnesses were required, and if dishonest, were punished. In wartime, the Israelites had to negotiate before attacking a city. Fruit trees were not to be destroyed. Marauding tribes destroyed for the sake of destroying, right up to 1800. Those with a new home or a vineyard were exempted from military service. That's how the human element entered the conduct of affairs. Where is all this relevant today? I would suggest that it gives us an orderly overview of how to run a society. Each point has a model value, which we must incorporate in what we do. Maybe that's why there are so many Jewish lawyers. They've inherited the attitude from all those years ago, the necessity to do things properly. It is amazing to think that our Torah can set out rules and principles which apply so many hundreds of years down the line. We are humans fashioned in the image of God, and as such are compelled to act as we expect the Almighty to act towards us. Shabbat Shalom. We turn now to the Kiddush, which will be recited by Louis Kling in celebration of his birthday.
Va'erev va'voker Yom Hashishi Va'chulu Hashemayim v'haaretz v'chal tzva'am Va'chal Elohim va'yom hashvi'i Malachto asher asa Va'yishbot va'yom hashvi'i Mikol malachto asher asa Va'yverech Elohim et yom hashvi'i Va'ykadesh oto kivo Shabbat Mikol malachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. B'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh bereshit. Ki hi yom tekilah l'mikrei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim. V'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava u'v'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who sanctifies Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We turn now to the Aleinu, page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצא לארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים עמה, ושכינת עוזו בגובי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו עינות, אמת מלכנו וזולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום לשבותה, לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים עמך, ועל הארץ מתחתינו.
Page 589 in the middle. Therefore, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the perfection of our world, guided by a sacred covenant drawn from human and divine meeting. Please turn to page 595 for Yesh Kochavim.
יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה, רק אשר הם עצמם עבדו רגם. יש אנשים שזיו זכרם מאיר, כאשר הם עצמם אינם עוד
Page 597 at the foot. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken passed away at this time in years gone by, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. We think in particular of Richard Mayers, brother of Philip Mayers, Sheila Mayers, mother of Philip Mayers, Anne Kellem, mother of Molly Smith and grandmother of Brendan Smith, Asher Nathan Levien, son of Dr. Louis Levien and brother of Bridget Blankenberg, Mary Agnes Katz, mother of Anne Martin, Estelle Abro, mother of Lynn Raffaele and John Abro, Gary Beda, cousin of Michael Beda, Alison Tellem, brother of Molly Smith and uncle of Brendan Smith, Maida Sakanowski, sister-in-law of Marion Hassel, Ruvain Mulner, grandfather of Eric Mulner, Ruth Josselson, mother of Harold and the late Bruce Jolson, and mother-in-law of Danny Jolson, Henna Berold, mother of Barry Berold, Percy Tabak, father of Jack Tabak, Bella Kruger, mother of Arthur Kruger. From Bet Menorah we remember Sally Kelly, mother of Judy Abramovitz and Paul Kelly, and grandmother of Lee Denhaya and Darren Kelly. Ben Hirschman, father of Merle Karp. From Bet David in Durban, Mendel Green, father of Louise Sinclair. Guta Elias, mother of Dina Valero. Charles King, father of Judith King. Ethel Henrich. Elizabeth Farrell, mother of Fran Myers. Aubrey Bayliss, father of Rosalind Rosettenstein and Brett Bayliss. And the following persons who passed away recently we recall. From Bet Menorah, Mirelle Rech, mother of Carla, mother-in-law of Ellen, grandmother of Luca, Zeno, and Gabrielle Jacobs. Michael Brand, uncle of Lee Brand. Shamin Naidu, dear friend and colleague of Doug and Carolyn Smollen, and mourned by all at the Smollen group. Gary Sobel, cousin of Gerald Sobel. Shirley Joy Seif, mother of Ralph Seif, and mother-in-law of Jackie. Chips Siv, husband of Gigi and father of Andrew, Lawrence and Warwick, and mourned by all at Bet Menorah in Pretoria. Colin Barachovitz, father of Brendan and Tamsin and the late Shane Barachovitz, and partner of Adri Powell. Zichronam Livracha, may their memories be for a blessing. We turn now to page 598, and we call on Barry Berold to recite the Kaddish for us.
We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at the season in the years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. May their memories be for blessing. Amen.
Yitgadol v'yitgadash me Rabbah, v'alma divrei churtei v'yamlich machutei, v'chayachon v'yameichon, v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'galav izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam, umei umaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal, shmei dekudesha b'rechu. Leola min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata damiram be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehesh shlama Rabbah min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mrumav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Thank you, Barry and Jenny. For those who don't know, the Berolds live in the States now. Barry is a past chairman of this shul, and we are happy that he tunes in so often to our services. Thank you to you both, and we wish you long life, Barry. Right. Thank you to Doron Canal and Adam Stale for so ably facilitating the streaming of the service under these unusual circumstances. Thanks also to the congregants who contributed videos to the service, and to Louis Kling for sponsoring the service. Please join Rabbi Elisheva tomorrow at 9 a.m. via Zoom for her weekly Torah study. The link can be found in the weekly Adkan and will be posted on the live chat. Our Shachrit service led by Janice Jordan at 10 a.m. will be streamed live via YouTube on the usual link. See Adkan for details. If you would like photographs and names of family members who passed away, recently or in years gone by, to be incorporated in a special slide presentation for the Yizkor Memorial Service, please send your photos together with the names of those to be remembered to the synagogue office by Monday, 30th August. Congregants can also honor a departed loved one with a leaf on our Eitz Chaim tree of life in the gallery of the shul. The new leaves will be dedicated on Shabbat Shuvah, the Shabbat before Yom Kippur, and the names will be read out during the Yizkor service on Yom Kippur. It is a custom at Bet David to distribute the Sefer Chaim for the Yizkor service. For all details, contact the shul office. In response to numerous requests, the Jewish Connection with Rock Music Part 1 will be rebroadcast next Sunday, 22nd August at 3 p.m. Not this coming Sunday, but the next Sunday. If you missed the first broadcast and would like to see Part 1 as well as Part 2 on Sunday, August 29 at 3 p.m., it is not too late to book. Bookings are still open at a cost of 190 Rand for both shows. The rebroadcast of Part 1 will be available to all existing ticket holders. For all queries and banking details, please contact admin2@betdavid.org.za. Rabbi Salomo is running several courses for congregants: a 10-week conversational Hebrew class, Introduction to Judaism 2, ITJ 2. This is a chance for students and families from former classes and other interested members to study further. Contemporary Jewish short stories for the love of reading and exploring modern Jewish topics. Please see the latest Adkan for all details. We conclude the service with the singing of Ein Kelaheinu, page 626.
Adon Olam Hashem Malach, B'terem Kol Yetzir Yivra, Le'et Nasa B'chetzo Kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nivra, V'yacharei Kiklot HaKol, Levado Yimloch Nora, Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Oved, Ve'hu Yeh B'tifara, Ve'hu Echad Ve'ein Sheni, Lehamshilo Lehachpira, Ve'li Reshit Ve'li Tachlit, Ve'lo Ha'ot Ve'hamizra, Ve'hu Eli Ve'chai Go'ali, Ve'tzuchem li Be'etzara, Ve'hu Nisi U'hanosli, Menachosli, Be'yom Ekra, Be'yado, Afkiruchi, Be'tishat Ve'ayira, Ve'imruchi Geviati, Adonai li,
my instructions were Ein Eloheinu, but the Adon Olam was equally beautiful and equally well known to all of us. At this moment, we are thankful for the blessings that the Lord has has poured upon our heads over the last few days. We are grateful for Him keeping us safe from COVID, and we wish for a good week ahead. And we can all say together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. And welcome Rabbi for a final blessing.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm blessing you tonight with Olive here, who's not my cat, but he's quite convinced he needs to be in the blessing. And it's an appropriate week as we think about how we are going to interact with all of creation, to have our furry friends and our finny friends and our feathery friends joining us in our blessing. And so I want to bless all of us that we should be able to do this work of creation, that we are strong enough and brave enough to make the move to our friends and family where we can ask for their forgiveness. We can recreate the connections that are so important, the connections of love, and rebind ourselves to the relationships that mean the most to us. I want to bless us that we be seen with all of God's glory. Yivarechechem Adonai v'yishmerechem. May we be blessed to be guarded and kept in safety. Ya'er Adonai panav elechem v'chunechem. May God lift God's face to us, God's eyes to us. May we in return share in that glance across the crowded world. And may we together hold hands and create the beginnings of a lasting peace. Yisa Adonai panav alechem v'yasem lachem shalom. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shalom u'mvorach, Shabbat shalom, Shalom u'mvorach, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom.